Hey everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I took for a 10-night trip to Japan. I'm going to talk about packing for a really big, important trip, how to make sure that you're not overpacking, and just some great choices you can make so that you have a fantastic capsule wardrobe that mixes and matches and yet makes you still feel fabulous on your big vacation, whether that's a cruise, an international trip, wherever it is you're going. And I'm really glad that you're here. I don't want to get too much into carry-on or not carry-on, and here's why. I did do carry-on only for this trip, but I know a lot of you have expressed like maybe you are very petite and getting a big bag in the overhead is a struggle for you. Maybe you have some back issues, and so you don't want to have a big roller bag that you have to take on the airplane. That's not really the point of making sure we're packing light, because once you get to your destination, you're still going to have to deal with big, bulky luggage. So I kind of want to get away from on this channel. It's not like doing carry-on only as some kind of big badge of honor. A lot of us now prefer to do that for some reasons with the airlines, but if you check a bag, these same principles apply, because overpacking creates stress. I recently watched a hilarious reel on Instagram, and if you're not following me over there, you should go and do that. But it was all of these people trying to manage these huge pieces of luggage in airports and train stations, and it looked like it was predominantly European vacation, times when, escalators were broken and they were trying to get up and down stairs. And by and large, you want to make sure that you can manage your luggage on your own with your own physical body. So for me, that's always going to be only two pieces. Now, whether I check a bag, don't check a bag, kind of doesn't really matter, but it needs to be luggage that I can pick up and carry, that I could manage on stairs, all of those types of things. I plan my outfits very far in advance. I'm going to go through each of the pieces that I took, and as I do, I will show you guys pictures of what they look like on the trip, because in the past you get annoyed with me when I show you the clothes and I don't show you what I look like in them, so I will make sure that I do that. Obviously, the first thing that I did was think through what it is that we would be doing. I knew we would be spending quite a bit of time in Tokyo, but also that we would be doing some day trips out to like the mountains and places where there could be hiking and things like that. So I had to kind of think through the day-to-day activities. And then the next thing that I did was double check the weather, and you really can't do that super effectively till about a week in advance, right? But you do want to make sure you're prepared for whatever is going to come your way. Because we were going to be all over Japan, we had everything from up in the mountains. We had a low, I think, in the high 30s to one of our Disney days, it was a high of 80. So that's a huge range that I needed to be ready for. And then the third thing is to make sure that you're being culturally sensitive to the area of the world where you're going. So whether it might be, you want to take a scarf for your head, or you want to make sure your arms are covered. In our case, we knew we were going to be in a lot of shrines and temples where you are required to take off your shoes before you enter. So I wanted to make sure I had either shoes with socks or that I was carrying socks with me. So all of those kinds of practical concerns. That will also play in when it comes to what bags are you taking, because we're going to have a whole section of this video where we're going to talk about shoes and bags and accessories, because that's a really big deal. The other thing when I put together this wardrobe is I kind of wanted to look cute. I mean, I am a travel vlogger, and so I knew I was going to be on camera a lot. Plus, I like to feel like, obviously going to Japan, I was not going to blend, but I did want to feel like I kind of fit in with the rest of the country. So I had actually watched so many like live streams in Tokyo in particular to kind of see what women were wearing, particularly women that are around my age. And I think I kind of nailed it. It helps that my style is very much in that same feeling. So that was not a big deal. But I did learn things about the culture of Japan, that women generally dress pretty conservatively. And also that when I'm in a big city, I kind of want to feel a little bit fancier. So let's dive right into what I took. So kind of the foundation of this capsule wardrobe were these merino shirts. Now, the three that I took were from Unbound Merino, and then I actually have one here that is from a company called Icebreaker pullover that's a little bit thinner weight. This video is not sponsored, and it's always my hope that you have things in your closet already. But if you want to add some things to your wardrobe, there will be some links below that are affiliate. So definitely use those if you're in the market for some items. But here's why merino wool is such a fabulous fabric for travel, especially if you know you're not going to have access to laundry. It does not smell. And I had heard that, I had read that, obviously, as someone who used to be a marathon runner, runners and hikers, and people had been swearing by it forever, but I had never really thought about it in terms of using it as a base layer for a longer trip, or underneath sweaters or underneath jackets. And I wore these 3 shirts every day of the trip for a 10-night trip. And when we got back, if you smelled them, which, if you came over to my house, I would let you do, you could not even tell that I had worn them. Now, one thing on these, and it does tell you this on their website, you do not want to use deodorant with aluminum. I have recently stopped using deodorant with aluminum altogether because of some other health concerns with it, but it will also damage the merino wool. So you definitely don't want to do that. I have just started using a kind that's from, it's called Native, I think. I buy it at Target, that doesn't have aluminum in it. But so that is something to be aware of. But these shirts you could just wear over and over. They do not wrinkle, they do not smell, and they work great as a base layer. I bought 2 that were scoop neck and 1 that has a little bit of a V-neck on it. So these most days were going on underneath everything else. What was amazing is that they kept me cool and they kept me warm. So they're just great at regulating your temperature. I don't know how merino wool does it. You will pay a lot for good merino wool. That's just the way it is, but I should, Lord willing, have these for decades. And they really just are such high performance material for travel. So that's kind of the base of all of this. The other thing that was the base of this were my pants. And there's one pair that's missing because they're actually in the wash. But I took a lot of these pants from J. Jill. They are either cropped, or I had one pair that were long, and then I had a pair of black jeans. And those are right here. I really like going with all dark colors on the bottom. That's kind of more flattering for me anyway, and it hides stains and you don't have to worry about that. So I brought 4 different pairs of pants and those 3 merino wool t-shirts, and then everything else that I'm going to show you, almost to a T, worked with those pieces, okay? Now, don't laugh at me about my blue and white stripes, but I love me a good Breton stripe. So, I did have blue and white stripes quite a bit, but I had 3 different tops here. One was this kind of lighter weight sweater, but it looked really put together. I also had this little zip up jacket with pockets. So when you're thinking through, especially if you're going to a place where you're going to be on a lot of trains and you might have a lot of tickets and things to keep track of, think through the pocket situation, because that's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. So this little zip up jacket had pockets. I used this to layer. I actually wore this on the airplane. And then this kind of thicker sweater, this is from Draper James, and it has a little bit of an updated style to it. And that is one thing I would say is, as you're looking for kind of these staple pieces, don't be afraid to stick something in there that just makes you feel really good and really pretty. This sweater fit that bill for me. Made me feel really put together, but obviously went with everything else. Now, you're probably not a weirdo like me, and you probably don't need to take 3 different items that are all blue and white striped, but they made me happy. So, we'll just go with that. And then as far as tops go, I also took this very lightweight, I haven't ironed it yet since I washed it, but linen top. I did end up wearing this the day that it was 80 degrees when we were at Disney. Linen is a great fabric to travel with as long as you're okay with it looking a little messy and a little wrinkled. And it's great because it breathes really well and it's very thin to pack. And then the last thing I took, which I actually don't have a picture of me in this, but it is silk. And silk is another great fabric to travel with. This blouse is kind of one of my favorites. The color's really beautiful on it. And it just doesn't, if you pack it correctly and you make sure it doesn't get a lot of movement, it doesn't wrinkle, and the wrinkles just kind of fall right out of it. So I loved this silk blouse. So speaking of silk, let's move into the outerwear situation. Now for outerwear, I needed to be prepared for rather cold weather when we were up in the mountains. We were in an area called Nico. There's some really historic shrines there. It was absolutely incredible, but it was definitely on the colder side. And then also I wanted some things that would look good in Tokyo. So the first thing that went in was this very not exciting, but very practical rain jacket. It is lightweight. I did not bring my packable rain jacket for this particular trip because the weather wasn't going to be that cold. The lows we had were like 45, 50 degrees. So this weight was fine. And my packable rain jacket, I felt like was just a little bit too heavy for this trip. But I loved this jacket. It had pockets with snaps, which is fantastic for train tickets because you don't have to worry about losing it. And it also had has a hood that could be tucked away. So this jacket got a ton of wear. It was perfect for, walking long distances. If we did get a little bit of a drizzle a couple of the days, and this was perfect for that. So a lightweight rain jacket is a great way to go. Also, and this is such a heavy hitter, and I promise I'm going to get back to the silk in just a minute, my trench coat. Now, I will tell you, I think every woman in Tokyo had on a trench coat. And this was also true when I was in Paris. And funny enough, I actually have a picture of me sitting on the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral in London when I'm 16 years old. And guess what I'm wearing? A trench coat. So this is one item. This one is very old. I just picked it up at the dry cleaner after our trip. This is from Ann Taylor Loft. You can get these at every price point. You can pay $100. You can go all the way up. You could get a Burberry one for $2,000. That would be like a dream for me, but I don't have that. This one, I think was around that $100 mark. But for travel, a trench coat can just be fabulous. Don't worry if it gets a little wrinkled. It kind of adds to the whole mystique of the thing. These will pack kind of on the bottom of your suitcase, or did I carry it on the plane on the way there or on the way back? I guess on the way back. I carried it with me on the plane. But they are lightweight, beautiful. They look stylish. They cover you. They're good in the rain. I just cannot say enough good things about having a really good trench coat in your wardrobe. I have gotten so much use out of this, and I think it's one of those pieces that if you travel, especially internationally, you want to make sure you have a good trench coat in your wardrobe. So yeah, that's one thing if you don't have, you should probably pick up. I will try to find you guys some that I think would be a really good value for money. This one is probably 12 years old, so I know I can't find this one anymore. I even went on the Ann Taylor Loft website. I was like, maybe they still carry it. No, of course they don't. But this is a great option. Now with your trench coat, especially if you're in cities, silk scarves are fabulous. This is a 100% mulberry silk scarf that I got off of Amazon. I had linked for you guys a couple videos ago a scarf that said it was mulberry silk, but I did a little further looking once I got mine that were actually silk, and it wasn't. And I'm so embarrassed, but it actually, the description was very misleading. This one and the ones that I will link below are actually mulberry silk. And silk scarves are such a great thing to take for a trip like this because you can wrap them around your neck, you can tie them on your bag, you can have them on your jacket. They just look pretty, they add a pop of color, and they're very, very practical. Silk will definitely keep you warm if you have it wrapped, around your neck, underneath your coat. If you're going to someplace that requires a head covering, it's great for that. And they're just beautiful. And so definitely you're going to want to take a couple of silk scarves. They take up no space, which is very, very helpful to stick with that packing light that we talked about. I got that one, and then I also got this one that has a little bit of a cheeky, almost like an Hermes, but it's totally not. So yeah. And you can see here, I have it paired with my denim jacket. Now, this denim jacket, I have actually 3 different denim jackets. A denim jacket is such a great addition, and it went obviously with everything else in my wardrobe, and so it just made me feel a little bit more put together. It was a great outer layer piece. Love this jacket. This jacket also has, and this is such a big thing when you're looking at a denim jacket, and I've talked about this before, and I never hear anybody else talk about it, so I'm like, am I nuts that I get so excited about this? But this one has interior pockets. So when you are shopping for like an elevated basic like that, One of the things you want to look for is those interior pockets, because when you're traveling, to be able to put your phone, your boarding pass, your train ticket in that interior pocket where you know that it's safe, oh my gosh, such a big deal. You don't have to worry about losing things. This one is from Kate Spade, New York. I don't think I can find this anymore. I bought it at the outlet here in Atlanta, again, maybe 5 years ago. But a good denim jacket that looks good on you, that is practical, that feels good, you cannot go wrong. Okay, so that is literally all of that's it. That's all the clothes that I took, and all of the outfits that I've been showing you in the pictures and the videos all came from what is right here. Okay, so very easy. All of this easily fit in a carry-on with no issues whatsoever. Okay, let's move into shoes and handbags. So shoes are where a lot of you get hung up with the packing light. Never take more than 3 pairs, with one minor caveat. So you want a really good pair for walking. You want a really good pair for like cute casual that you could wear with dresses, skirts, pants, out to dinner, whatever. Depending on where I'm going, I'm also going to want a really good pair for rain, because there's a difference between, oh, we're out and it's kind of sprinkling, and we're out and it is raining buckets. I do not like to have wet feet. I do not like to have ruined shoes. So if I know that there's a possibility of a lot of rain, I am also going to bring a pair that's really good in the rain. And then my little caveat is, if you are going to a beach destination, you can throw like a pair of Havaianas, a little pair of flip-flops in there. Those don't take up hardly any space at all. But the 3 pairs of shoes that I took, I'll talk about the rain pair first, because I feel like I didn't actually end up wearing these, but I was so glad I had them for peace of mind. These are by a company called Muck, I believe. Yes, Muck Boot Company. I've talked about these before. They are so stinking comfortable, and these are literally like little flat rain boots. They are incredibly durable. I have worn them in the theme parks in Florida when it has just been pouring down rain. Crocs used to make a really great pair of flats. I don't think they make them anymore, sadly, but those can be a good idea. But these just look cute, but they function like a rain boot, which I can't even. They just take up hardly any space at all. So these did not get used, but I'm not sorry that I took them, because we did have the possibility of rain. So definitely take a good pair for rain. As different shoe manufacturers are kind of catering to travelers, there are some that say they're good in the rain. And that they're also cute. I don't own any of them, but these are my go-to for really rainy weather. The other shoes that I wore are actually on my feet right now, and those are my Cherix. And the Cherix shoes, I literally, Instagram influenced me. I bought them off of an Instagram ad. They are not cheap. I wore them a lot on this trip, and they were very, very comfortable. I would have worn them more, except for getting back to the thing where when we were places where we would have to take off our shoes. And these are more comfortable without socks than with socks. That's kind of the design of them. They're meant to not smell, to be really comfortable without socks. I love these shoes. I find myself putting these shoes on my feet pretty much every day lately. Very, very comfortable, very durable, really good quality leather, and they do actually get more comfortable the longer you wear them. So I was influenced by Instagram. I don't have an affiliate link for them, but I can tell you that they did great in Tokyo, and I just love them. And then the last pair of shoes that I took, I've talked about these before. These are my leather Kariyumas. Now, the reason I love these is they've got some cute style to them. They're white, so they're a little bit elevated. They don't look like, like big old running shoes or Adidas or anything, but they have the comfort and performance of a really, really good running or walking shoe. So they were phenomenal. I can't even tell you how many miles I put on these, and they still are in great shape. The leather looks good. Now, I did put a shoe cream on these as well as on the Cherix before we left. The one that I have, the shoe cream that I have I got with a handbag that I bought a while ago, but you can buy any like shoe conditioning cream on Amazon that will help to protect your shoes from any kind of weather. And then it also makes the leather shoes to where you can just wipe them off if they get any stains on them. But these shoes now I have taken on 4 or 5 trips, all of which I was doing 6 to 8 miles a day of walking, and they feel amazing on my feet. So definitely highly recommend the Karyumas. All right, now let's move on to the handbags that I took. Now, I basically had two different kinds of things I needed to be ready for with handbags. The hiking and the kind of day trips where I wanted a small backpack, and I took this Kipling. This is the City Pack. I believe this is the medium size. This is a great, I'm going to put this one down for a second. This is a great travel backpack because it has this little cheeky pocket right here. So if you're going to a place where there's a potential for pickpockets, that is not an issue in Japan, like at all. But I have a trip to Italy coming up where I will be in places where that is an issue. So this is a great backpack for that reason, because you have something up against your back. So if you wanted to put your passport, credit card, cash, that sort of thing there. There's still a whole bunch of stuff in it, but I love this bag. I've had it for probably 5 years. I've worn it multiple times, and it just works really, really well. And then the other bag that I took, and I've mentioned this one in a couple of videos, was this Longchamp bag that I bought the last time we were in Mexico. Here's what was great about this, and I don't have the crossbody strap on it. I did take it, but more often than not, I just put it on the crook of my arm. This folds, and it is leather. Now, Longchamp just changed this style, so you can't actually get this one through Longchamp anymore. Last I checked, Nordstrom still had a few, but I don't know if you can see how I can literally fold that up. So that went in the bottom of my luggage like that, and then it opens up to be a really lovely leather bag. I did, again, condition this, so I didn't have to worry if it got in the rain. It holds a really good amount, and this is the one that I wore shopping in Ginza. This is what I wore out to dinner. I think one of the Disney days I took this bag instead of my backpack, and it was just like the perfect size. It's not too teeny tiny, but it worked for evening, and I absolutely loved it. So those were my two handbags. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is accessories. I am very pared down when it comes to jewelry when I travel, and it's for two reasons. Number one, it's just easy to only have one or two pairs of earrings that I'm worried about, and then, my watch, and that's it. If you're really, really into jewelry, this may be a bigger concern for you, but I don't like to have to think about jewelry, and I really don't want to have to think about losing something while I'm there. So I do take my regular wedding ring. I do wear my nice watch. They're very sturdy. They're not going anywhere. But for like earrings, these little sterling silver hoops that I've had forever, just kind of something basic that will go with everything, is a lot easier for me and a lot less to keep track of. I did appreciate in our hotel room in Tokyo, they actually had a little jewelry tray, which why do hotels in the US not have that? That was just genius and so helpful. But I don't do a lot with jewelry and all of that. I like to keep things very simple. But yeah, that was it. That was everything that I took for a 10-night trip. I was able to do carry-on only. If you are someone who tends to overpack, hopefully this gave you some good guidelines, some good ideas. I will tell you, this same exact wardrobe would have worked beautifully in Paris. It would have worked beautifully in London. So if you are planning a trip to a big European city, a lot of these same pieces are going to go with me when I fly to Rome next month. And yeah, stick with fabrics that look good and don't smell. So you're talking silk, you're talking merino wool, that sort of thing. Stick with things that will work with the weather of where you're going to, and stick with things that are kind of classic pieces that fit in at your destination. And I think you're going to have a fabulous time, and you're going to look fabulous. So it's a win-win. Thank you so much for watching today. If you liked this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to support the work I do here, I do not do sponsored videos. So you can join us over on Patreon. We have almost 400 patrons, and we have an amazing community over there, and we would love to have you join us. And don't forget to subscribe. Whatever you're doing today, I hope you're finding joy, and I'll see you next time. Happy packing!